Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. So on Evercade there is a new highlight of the month in the form of Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. This was actually on Gremlin Collection 1, so if you don't actually already own that, now is your chance to get a quick play at this for the full month of April, or until you actually update your firmware on whatever Evercade device you're actually playing it on. There's also been a slight update to a few different games as well, which we'll cover in the video. So without further ado, let's get started and we'll go through the details now. Okay, so highlight of the month is Zool. This is probably about the best game from Gremlin Collection 1. I didn't think Gremlin Collection 1 was all that great, but Zool was probably definitely the highlight of that collection. I'm pretty sure, if I recall, it was the Mega Drive version that we got, which was probably about the best version that we could have got out of the Amiga SNES. I think I might have that wrong, so don't shoot me if I've got it wrong. I'm pretty sure it was the Mega Drive version. And I might be completely wrong. But anyway, this is the highlight of the month for April, or until the next highlight of the month is updated on the firmware. You should be able to play this on the Alpha, on the EXPs, and on the VS, whichever versions you actually have. And it's a really nice game. It's definitely one of those games worth playing. So it's ideal. If you don't have the Gremlin Collection, then ideal, perfect for you. You can get a quick taste of it and see if you like it. You can obviously go out and purchase the Gremlin Collection 1. Interesting that they've chose this one. Obviously we've got Gremlin Collection 2 coming up very, very soon on Evercade. This Gremlin Collection 1 was released a couple of years ago now on Evercade. Probably not my most favourite collection, but as I said, I think Zool is probably the highlight and definitely worth playing. One of those games that was a little bit like Amiga's answer to Sonic the Hedgehog, but obviously wasn't quite as good as that. But it was still a nice enough, fun game to actually play. And there's some interesting information on the game here if you want to have a look at it. And it's just giving you some tips there to maybe change the difficulty mode to easy, normal, or hard, depending how many items you need to collect on each level. Basically, collect as many items as you possibly can, which usually opens up the exit at the end of the level, and then you can move on. There is some boss battles as well, which is quite good. And interestingly, they've got some tips there on various parts of the game. Never actually made it that far throughout the game. I found it quite difficult. Maybe I need to play it on easy to make it a little bit more accessible to myself. But anyway, that's it. It's now available. But we're also going to have a look at the patch notes that have been updated. There's a couple of games that have been updated that are definitely worth having a look at, I think. Okay, so just having a look at the EXPR patch notes, and it should be the same across the other devices as well. So basically we've removed Midnight Resistance and we now have Zool. There's been a fix for Ultimate Tennis, which is on Pico Arcade 1, some stability improvements. I've seen a few people highlight some issues that were happening throughout that game. Never experienced any myself, but I did see some people out there in the community that were obviously experiencing some strange problems. Now, the best part here maybe is Broken Sword 1 improvements. There's some information down below. Hopefully that will fix the issues that we were experiencing with the super fast character sprite movement, which was probably making some of the game a little bit laughable and even probably a little bit unplayable in certain sections of the game. There's been translation and UI improvements for non-English languages as well. There's been some updates to the library in obviously the form of Gremlin Collection 2, Windjammers, Carnoff and Friends and Neo Geo Arcade 1. They've been added to the library. Now the information here about Broken Sword was just basically, it was first released in the PAL region, but Evercade have chosen the NTSC version, but unfortunately that has some crazy character movements that just runs way too quickly. I think they did choose the right version, maybe. The PAL one apparently has some major game breaking bugs, so I understand why they chose the NTSC version, but it has some frame rate issues and it causes the animations to speed up or slow down inconsistently throughout the game. In certain sections it's mainly too fast, but if you get to the Ireland pub sequence where you need to get a certain item quickly to another location. The animations are really slow, then it really fast, and the clock itself is running overly quickly, and it's almost impossible to actually complete the task in that section of the game. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they have made some improvements, and it will maybe hopefully stabilise the frame rate for a smoother, more consistent experience. Now I'm going to have to test that because I'm not really sure I trust that, so let's check it out in the video as well. First we'll have a quick bash at Zool, and then we'll check out Broken Sword to see if those improvements have actually happened. Quick update just before we move on to that. Apparently I think there's issues with the alpha update, so if you're waiting or looking for the firmware update on your alpha, there was some issues that might take a little bit longer to kick in, so just keep checking on your alpha in the next day or two. Hopefully that firmware update will take place and you can play the highlight of the month and see the improvements for Broken Sword and Ultimate Tennis as well. Okay guys, so once you've got your firmware updated in whichever device you're playing this on, you'll be greeted with Zool, which is the highlight of the month for April. We'll have a look at that in a little second. Now also the library has been updated with the 3 recent announcements from the Evercade showcase. You see you've got Neo Geo Arcade 1, which is not up for pre-order until May the 1st. It's going to release in July. Windjammers and Gremlin is already up for pre-order if you're interested in those, and they will release in June. We've got Atari Arcade 2 and Tomb Raider 2, that is already up for pre-order. We already knew about those games, carts, and they will release sometime this month, I believe. So that's basically the update. There is obviously a few other updates. We've got Broken Sword already inserted. I will go over that and check that the fix in place has fixed the frame rate issues that we were experiencing big time in that game. So fingers crossed at that. So what we're going to do now is have a quick playthrough Zool. And if you're interested, obviously this is part of Gremlin Collection 1. If not, then it's just a little taster to what this game is like. I think it's a nice enough game. It's basically like almost like a Sonic style game that was released on the Amiga, sorry, and then we got some versions on Mega Drive, the SNES, and other sort of platforms as well. I think it was trying to sort of compete with those sort of mascot style games that were the thing back in the early 90s. I don't think it quite managed it, but it's an okay game to play. I think that the sort of mindset is try not to think of it as a Sonic game, because it's not really one of those games you want to try and rush from left to right as quick as possible, because you're really going to die quite quickly, which is what I usually do. I think that the mindset is really to play the game as quick as possible, but the idea is to try and collect as many items you can see. It's basically like fruit or sweeties that you see on the screen. Change down the difficulty level if you want to collect less, and then get to the exit. Now the exit isn't always near the end of the level. You can see the green arrow in the middle at the bottom there, that points to where the exit is, and the sort of item number next to the C, which you see it now went to 42. That's how many items you need to collect on the level. You've got some firepower as well. If you press the X button, that will give you some firepower, and A is to jump. Now, as I said, it's probably not the best way of playing it to try and rush through the level, because the enemies are everywhere and you will probably die. You've only got to think about 3 hits before you probably will die. You can jump on top of the enemies as well. I think this is a checkpoint, I believe, maybe. I'm not entirely sure what's hitting me here, but anyway, it's a nice game. I like the game, but I think I got a little bit frustrated sometimes actually playing it. So no doubt I think this is a really cool game, but the difficulty level is probably extremely high, and I think sometimes while playing it can be quite frustrating. And as I'm playing it here, it's probably not the best way of playing it, is rushing through the actual levels. Probably best to take your time, explore a little bit, and obviously collect those items so that you got enough to get to the exit and watch all these enemies. They are a nightmare. I would highly recommend watching the video that Blaze put up, which gives you some tips on how to actually play the game. There's also some cheats and level selects in there as well, which they go into some detail, so I'll leave that link in the description if you want to sort of try and make the most of this game while it is highlight of the month for April. I would recommend it. I'll leave that link in the description. It is quite helpful if you want to try and obviously make the most of this game, which is a really cool game. You just need to have a lot of patience playing it and not try to rush through it like I'm trying to do in this video, which is probably the worst possible way way to play the game. Okay guys, so let's have a look at Broken Sword Collection, which was only released last month on Evercade, and there was massive issues with Broken Sword, the first version, which on Evercade we have the NTSC version, which has a lot of issues with the frame rate in the version that we've got on Evercade. Didn't have any issues with Broken Sword 2. I'm still actually playing through Broken Sword 2, and that seems to be running perfectly fine as far as I can tell. So let's have a look at Broken Sword. Fingers crossed that there is no issues with the frame rate anymore, because it was quite a frustrating experience to actually play through. So sadly, the loading times are still going to be pretty awful, and I don't think it's going to be quite perfect, because obviously there was some slowdown here and there whilst things were quite busy in Broken Sword. But let's have a look at this and let's see if the frame rates have improved, or the character animations anyway are not all over the place like they were. I think you can tell looking at the digger in the background there that he's not digging quite as ferociously as he was. And also one indication is the cursor movement. When you sort of held it to the end of the screen there, the hand movement was really quite fast. Now one quick check, if you go to the alleyway here, and then you sort of picked up the third lid on the dustbin, the cat ran away so fast you have no idea what it was. So fingers crossed that this has been fixed. You'll be able to tell right away that this, obviously you can tell even looking at George walking there that the game has hopefully been fixed. Because previously George would be walking extremely fast from A to B and it just looked laughably funny. Let's have a look. If you just check in this trash can, dustbin, whatever you want to call it, the cat usually jumps out extremely quickly and zooms away, but hopefully it will go a little bit slower. You can actually tell it's a cat, yeah. I think so far you can see it's definitely how it should be, how it was when I played it on PAL. So hopefully if you were experiencing Broken Sword for the first time, you were not being too disheartened, because or maybe you never even noticed, to be honest, that things were wrong, but those animations were completely wrong. And it's great, to be honest, that Blaze have fixed this fairly quickly. So I guess you have to take your hat off to them and say, great that they've fixed this, because this was a huge release for them. And for me, these two games are absolutely massive. It's great we have them on Evercade. And I was definitely quite disappointed playing through the first one and experiencing those massive issues, and it causes issues later in the game as well, which I'll try and cover as well, because I still have my save state in Ireland, so hopefully I can highlight that case in the video as well. Now, one of the reasons why I'm going to this section is the character animation walk is way too quickly. When Inspector Russo walks on and catches up with George, it goes way too quickly, and it's almost laughable. And if this has been fixed, you'll definitely see the difference. If you want to see the difference, maybe just refer to some of the older videos that have been put up when this cart was released last month. You'll see the difference in this section alone. This is right at the start of the game, and you can see that the character movement hopefully is a little bit slower and more normal. Rather, if you watch how it was, Inspector Russo just goes extremely quickly. Like you see, he's walking normal there, and yeah, that's much better. And the obviously how it was previously, it was just laughably quick. So happy to say it looks like this fix has been extremely successful. So let's have a look at my save point in Ireland. Okay, so there's a few instances in Broken Sword where you have to be really quick in some instances, and I think when the character animations were quicker, it was causing a lot of issues and making it a lot harder. Now, I'm not going to say this is going to be easy. In Ireland, you need to wet this bar towel probably a couple of times. I think once is probably enough, but I'll do it a couple of times. Make sure it's wet, and then dash to the castle to try and put the water from the towel onto the plaster, and then you create some sort of plaster cast thing. But anyway, basically you have to be on the money for each exit to the stages here, and it was a lot trickier before. I'm not saying it's going to be easier now. You still have to be on the money. Any hesitation of any type and you'll probably lose precious time. Like doing things like that, probably not ideal. So you really have to be on the money. If you lose any time, you're probably going to have to start all over and do it again. Now hold down L2 or R2 to try and quicken up the cursor movement and get to the exits of each of these levels as quick as you can. Maybe a good idea to try and create some save states as you go as well, just to be on the safe side. But if you do muck up, then you probably as well just starting again, to be honest. So create yourself a save state at the start where we were there, and then start again. But anyway, let's hope we try and get this right. You can see the animations in the bar here are certainly slowed down a lot. You see George is not walking quite as fast, so there still is some frame rate issues there, but hopefully this should help slow down the clock movement. Absolutely horrible. It took me numerous times to actually get it right, and you shouldn't have to do that. I mean, back in the day you didn't have save states to fall back on. You really just had to be on the money every single time. Definitely very, very frustrating section to play. So it's so annoying that the cursor is the other side of the screen. It surely should be already over there. That's surely an issue with the actual game itself. Just try to make the things a heck of a lot harder than it should be. It's quite a long distance to get from the pub, basement or cellar to the castle here, which, you know, if you make a mistake, it's quite a long way to go back again, and a little bit frustrating. All I can say is thank goodness for those save states. Fingers crossed I can do this first time, but I'm not massively hopeful. It is still quite a tricky task to do, especially once you get to the cellar or the underneath of the castle, where you need to squeeze the towel contents onto the plaster. But so far so good. I've not had too many hesitations, so it's all going to be about getting to the towel in time where we need it. Let's see, that was a little bit of a hesitation. George is definitely walking more normal, you can see that. Previously, be walking so fast it would be like watching an episode of Benny Hill in the UK. Obviously, that's going back some time to the 70s and 80s, which might show you how old I am. Or maybe it was my dad that watched it, sorry. I was just subjected to it. Not sure if I found it funny or disgusting or what. I'm not sure. Right, so let's quickly get to the top here. Get the towel and then move as quick as we possibly can till they get the cogs again. Oh, I've probably missed the mark. Oh no, I've mucked up, haven't I? I need to get slow movement, quick movement. No, I've mucked up. So you can see that's not even finding the mark there. That's definitely a bit of an error. There's no possible way of doing that. Ah well. Was that? You can see now it's appearing. Really, what should appear here is the little cogs to help. Maybe I need to use the L1 and R1 button to make that perfect. So I'm definitely not going to do it now. So you need to be quick, and then you need to slow down so you can get the mark perfectly here, which is a little bit annoying. So I'm definitely missed it by quite a long way. Okay, I don't think I made too many mistakes in that run. Will it work this time? Yay, look at that. It is possible after all. Basically, you just have to make sure you don't make any mistakes or have too many hesitations when you're actually doing this section. It was pretty much the same when it was faster animations, although probably a lot tougher. In this run through that I've done, I probably had the occasional hesitation, not too many, when it was faster animation, you needed no hesitation. Basically, you had to be on the mark perfectly for each time. But on this occasion run through, I managed to do this with one or two hesitations. But you still have to be pretty much on the mark when you're trying to do this puzzle section here, which I think was a lot of frustration for a lot of people. Me being one of them. I don't even remember it being that bad back in the day, but anyway, I'm absolutely delighted, as I said, that Blaze have actually fixed this section in the game, or this actual problem that was quite clearly causing issues. I'm quite surprised they never actually come out and sort of put their hand up to say, apologies, we've mucked up, this shouldn't be the case. But at least they fixed it. That's the main thing. But it would have been nice for an apology, because this is a huge release for Blaze on Evercade. Gladly, now it's the way it should be and how it should be played. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Bye for now.